Hello and welcome to the video. I've got a super exciting video for you here right now. So, I'm going to be talking about the 10 best games on the Nintendo Switch. So, with the Nintendo Switch 2 on the horizon, I think it is now time to start talking about what are the 10 best games for the Nintendo Switch. This is a list that I've made up of the games that I've played on Nintendo Switch, and some of the games I haven't played I won't include in this video just because I don't want to throw games in on my best list video and be like, yeah, this is the best game, and when I don't know if it actually is or not because I haven't played it. So the 10 games that I'm going to talk about are 10 games that I have played on Nintendo Switch, so I can give you full heart and literally honest reviews on these games. So here we go. I will just mention it though that the 10 games on this list are purely Nintendo Switch games. You will not see any ports or remasters on this list. So games like, unfortunately, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe will not be in this video, and that's a real shame because this game is genuinely an amazing game, and if I was adding remasters and ports, I would be adding this game to the list. But anyway, here we go. 10 Nintendo Switch games I believe are the best games you should play before the Nintendo Switch 2 arrives. My first pick for this video is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Now, this game is a game that when I first started originally playing it, I was like, it's a 3D platformer. At first, I wasn't really into it much. I thought it was just okay. But then I kept playing it, and then I kept playing it, and I kept playing it, and I can honestly say this game is really good. As a 3D platforming game on Nintendo Switch, this might be one of the best games there is. This is my favourite Kirby game of all time now. It's graphically amazing, it looks really nice, it plays really well. The power-ups are all really fun, and the story itself is just one of the best Kirby stories there is. Towards the end of the game, this game turns into some like weird psychological thriller, which is, yeah, it's an interesting game considering it's a Kirby game. But yeah, it's really good. I really highly recommend Kirby and the Forgotten Land. One of the best opening intros as well to a game I think I've played on Nintendo Switch. I really recommend this. Kirby is a series that I always kind of saw as the other series to Mario. It's more than that now. I feel like Kirby is in a place that is just going to get better and better. I hope for Switch 2 that we get more 3D style games like this for Kirby. My next pick is Pokémon Legends Arceus. Now, this is a 3D open world Pokémon game. Pokémon is a really strange series because it's always kind of been trapped within this like 2D linear style story gameplay worlds that, while these games really do work and they feel nice to play and the games are always really interesting stories and stuff like that, this game kind of went out the way to be different to every other Pokemon game in the mainline series, as this was an open world game where you are basically tasked with the objective of going out and filling the first ever Pokemon Pokedex. Pokemon Legends Arceus was just that good because it was so different to Pokemon. It was the game that we kind of all expected for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, but more so with the fact that it was kind of like a cross between Pokemon and, say, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, where it was like an open world, you go do what you want, go catch as many Pokemon as you want, and you hunt for stuff. It was kind of that like free range game that you just play, and you can play in your own time and play however you want and catch Pokemon. As a kid, I always wanted to be able to have that opportunity to just throw Pokeballs at Pokemon and just hopefully catch them. Like, whereas in like the mainline games and the 2D games, you always had to go into battles to catch Pokemon. Whereas this game just gives you absolute free range to just go out there and sneak up on Pokemon and literally throw Pokeballs at them and hope that you catch them and find all different kinds of ways to catch Pokemon. And yeah, I really like this game. Pokemon Legends Arceus, I generally think, is the best Pokemon game on Nintendo Switch. What this has done for the series, I think, is just going to get bigger and better. Pokemon Legends Zeta A, which is coming out on Nintendo Switch 2, which I assume is going to hopefully take this game as a base and just improve on it. So get playing this game now, because if you're going to play Legends Zeta A, it'll be worth knowing what the Pokemon Legends series is all about with this game. Next up is Splatoon 3. Splatoon 3 is the biggest Splatoon game there is. This is the true Splatoon package on Nintendo Switch. Splatoon 2 was great as well, and I actually kind of low-key feel like I prefer Splatoon 2. However, Splatoon 2 kind of felt like a bit of a port of the Wii U game, the original Splatoon, whereas Splatoon 3 kind of has branched out from that and feels like a true sequel to the original Splatoon. This is like the very first time Splatoon has kind of come into its own on Nintendo Switch, and I generally think that this is the best Splatoon game. It's not my favourite, I'll be honest, but I do think that as a game, this gives you the most opportunity to experiment with like the open tutorial area and the practice range and stuff like that, and Everything this game offers, like the single player is really fun. I'm actually playing through it right now, and I'm really enjoying the single player. I think I'm actually enjoying the single player in this game more than I was in Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 1. And I can honestly say that graphically as well, this game is a bit of an improvement on the first 2 Splatoon games. And I think that with stuff like Salmon Run being an even bigger thing now on this game, and with the side order DLC, this game just gets even better as it becomes this like roguelike game, where the idea is you're supposed to go through different levels and build up your equipment and stuff like that. And I generally think that Splatoon 3 as well is the best online multiplayer game on Nintendo Switch as well. I think this is the one to play if you want to pick up an exclusive multiplayer game on Nintendo Switch that isn't Fortnite. Next up is the best 2D platforming game on Nintendo Switch in my opinion, and that is Super Mario Bros. Wonder. This game is just... it's fun. It's just fun. Like, it's everything about this game is just really fun. Originally, before this game, there was New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, which was originally a game on the Nintendo Wii U that was then eventually ported to Nintendo Switch. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is the better game because what happened with New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe was it kind of got to the point where Nintendo felt like they were phoning it in with those games. They kept releasing practically the same game over and over again with the same graphic style and just the same kind of gameplay. So what Nintendo did was they kind of branched out from that and released a sequel to those games that was Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which felt like the same kind of game and it belonged in the same series, but had this kind of new style to it, where the graphics had changed, the gameplay had slightly changed, but it still felt like it was within that world. The key to this game though, however, is that every single level feels extremely different, and that's from the Wonder Flower mechanic, which basically turns every single level into like this weird trip where you go into like different weird worlds that basically turn into really tense situations where, I don't know, it's just such a strange game. It's how I imagine spacing out it would be like after eating a Mario mushroom, you know what I mean? Like, it'd be just a weird interesting Nintendo game that takes like the best levels of say like Rayman Legends and just turns them into a full game. I really recommend this game. It's one of the best multiplayer games as well on Nintendo Switch. You can play up to 4 people on this, all with different characters, and they all have different like unique abilities and stuff like that. And yeah, I just recommend this game. Just get it. It's a really good 2D platforming game. The next game is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. This game is just mind-blowing. Like, it's legit the most mind-blowing game I've ever played. My favourite part about this game was the Nintendo Direct reveals of every single character that was coming into this game. The gimmick of this game is that this is the biggest and best Super Smash Bros. Game. Now, you would kind of expect that for a sequel, but when I say that, I am not exaggerating. This game basically takes every single piece of content that has ever been in a Super Smash Bros. Game and throws it into one game. So, for example, every single character that's ever been in a Super Smash Bros. Game is in this game, including new characters. So this has the biggest and best roster of Super Smash Bros. Characters. So, for example, there's really out-of-the-blue characters in this game, like Minecraft Steve, Sora from Kingdom Hearts, and Solid Snake from the Metal Gear Solid series. Characters that you would never imagine would be in the same game together, and they are here. This game I really do recommend for its content. It's the best Super Smash Bros. Game. It perfected the formula. It has the best gameplay, the most levels and stages, the most content to play, the most gameplay modes, the most characters. The only thing this game lacks really is a true story mode like we had in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. But it is what it is. This is more of a multiplayer game than a single player experience, and I do generally think that this game is one of the greatest games when it comes to party, fighting, combat games. Really recommend Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It's such a experience to play this. I don't think I've actually even played all this game because it's just that big and there's so much to do in it. The next game I'm going to talk about is Metroid Dread. This is a game and a half legit. Like, it's the best Metroid 2D game in my opinion. I know that a lot of people will say that Super Metroid is the best Metroid game, but when you think technically and how this game plays, this game walks all over Super Metroid now. Super Metroid is the most iconic Metroid game of all time, but this is just, with the capabilities of Nintendo Switch and Metroid just being a great Metroidvania series. Metroid Dread is an interesting game because it kind of takes everything great about past Metroid games and basically takes the combats and the abilities and techniques and the skills and the fluidity of those games and ramps it up to 11 to the point where this game just feels like you're playing with the best controls in a Metroid game ever. It feels really nice. Like, it plays really well. It doesn't feel like it's a slow game at any time. There's moments of absolute terror in this game when it comes to like the enemies. Like, they are genuinely terrifying. The boss fights in this are challenging, and there's plenty of them to get about. So this kind of has that kind of like Souls-like feel to it in parts. It does feel like this game is just overloaded with absolute insanity at points. Like, I really, really love this. I would even go as far to say that this could be Nintendo's take on a horror game when it comes to like the stressful moments of the game. Like, I do generally think that this game is just incredible. Metroid Dread, possibly my favourite Metroid game alongside Metroid Prime. I do think that this game really is an experience, and it's probably one of the best looking games on Nintendo Switch as well, in my opinion. Like, it kind of felt like it was playing an upscaled 3DS game at points, but I don't think that was a bad thing, because the 3DS still had quite a nice visual style to it, and this game kind of does upscale that to what a 3DS game would look like on Nintendo Switch. But I think it works really well for this game, and it works for the style. So Metroid Dread, amazing atmosphere in a game, visually impressive, great story. Boss fights are incredible. The music, not the best music in the Metroid series, but it definitely has an impact on the tension of this game. So I really recommend this. Metroid Dread, one of the best games on the Switch. Before I carry on, I would like to say that please could you give my channel a good big smash of that subscribe button and a like in a comment, just to let me know how you're doing, and if there's any games that you feel belong in the top 10 Nintendo Switch games. I would love to see what your opinions are. I'm trying to hit 2,000 followers at the moment, and I feel like Nintendo Switch content at the moment is kind of on a decline, because obviously Nintendo Switch 2 is on the horizon. So it's interesting to get you guys still continuing to follow. It just helps me decide that I'd like to continue making content like this, because seeing you guys subscribe really does give me a boost. So please do. Anyway, next game. The next game I'm going to talk about is Animal Crossing New Horizons. This game is the game that came out in the COVID-19 pandemic. That's what it's always going to be remembered as. But what a time for this game to come out, because, yeah, I mean, we was all stuck inside and wishing we could go outside, and there was no better opportunity to play Animal Crossing at the time, because you could literally go outside, albeit digitally, but this was a great way to communicate with other people and just play a game in the pandemic. Play something that was cozy at the time. This is the cozy game on Nintendo Switch. It's Nintendo's answer to the cozy genre of games. So I do really highly recommend Animal Crossing New Horizons. This is, I believe, the second best-selling game on Nintendo Switch. Animal Crossing New Horizons is technically an open world game, I suppose, because it gives you this world to explore and just do what you like with. You can terraform and stuff like that, and you can build your house and extend it and add like items around the world, and go collecting items to place around the world and build up your like inventory. You have to pay off a debt in this game, which doesn't sound very fun, but it actually is, because the whole point of this game is you're supposed to create a live-in for yourself on this like deserted island which you inhabit and turn into like a little village. So it's kind of the whole point of Animal Crossing, is like it's a life simulator in a game that's just a game that you kind of play daily instead of in big bursts, if you know what I mean. I like this game just because of the community of it, and the way when you play it you feel like you're building something. That's my favourite part of Animal Crossing. I played this game, I'd say, probably like for 3 months every single day when it first came out, and I got really into it. I don't know why I put it down, to be honest. I think probably other games came out that I started playing instead. I would love to revisit this. I might do that one day, actually, because I'm pretty sure my villagers are just... yeah, they probably hate me now because I haven't popped in for like 4 years. Animal Crossing New Horizons, highly recommended. I think this is one of the best games on Nintendo Switch. It's been updated over time as well. Nintendo have progressively added new content to this game. There's a whole new like DLC to this that you can add to the game. Adds like this Happy Home Designer DLC where you get to design homes for people. And there's a lot of online content as well. You can visit other people's islands, and there's a lot of other people out there playing this game. So Animal Crossing New Horizons. Next up is a game that I actually didn't think I would like as much as I did, and that is Fire Emblem Three Houses. This game is just incredible. Legit one of the best JRPGs I've ever played. I think this is just wow. This story in this game branches out so much that it just gets better and better every single time you play it. There's 4 different routes to play in this game. It's basically a game that is Fire Emblem tactical strategy gameplay, like chess. When you're on battlefields, it does feel like a chessboard, but you're fighting on like this war battlefield, but that turns into a strategy game that turns into a life simulator as well. It's kind of like a cross between, say, Persona series and Fire Emblem, that is just willing to explore new avenues like, say, the life simulator. Think Hogwarts Legacy, but with Fire Emblem characters. That's what you get to do. You get to walk around this like monastery and talk to different NPCs and characters and just basically build like your class that you get to choose from. There's 3 different classes you can choose from. Each one has their own story and characters to go through. So technically you're not just getting 1 game out of this, you're getting 4 games. If you want to play through all 4 games, you get a different story experience every single time. Every single character has their own personality and you get to learn who the characters are. I didn't expect it to be as good as it is. There's a DLC to this as well, which even adds a whole new class to the game. So it's effectively, I suppose there's actually 5 stories in this game to play through. But Fire Emblem Three Houses, graphically it's fine. Like, it's a good JRPG. Like, it looks like that kind of typical anime game that you're going to play. It's a Fire Emblem game. I do think stylistically this game is incredible. Like, the whole idea of it, of having your like Hogwarts style class that you have to turn into these warriors over time. And the best thing about this game also is the permadeath style, which you can turn off. But to elaborate, that permadeath is basically when you have characters in this game in your class, when you go through the different battlefields, one of those characters dies in the battlefield, they are gone from the story completely. So every single story is different. If one of your character dies on the battlefield, they are gone from the game. They are gone from your story. You can't get them back because it's permadeath, which adds stakes to the game. So it's always really fun and there's a bit of stress to it. You can make up for mistakes, so there's abilities to go back in time for a cost, which can be helpful. Interesting game, really highly recommend this. It's one of my favourite games, if not my favourite game on Nintendo Switch. I really like this. Next up is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Now, I was going to talk about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild as well. This is my favourite Legend of Zelda game on Nintendo Switch, but I don't think it's the best. I think this is the best Zelda game on Nintendo Switch. Also, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, in my opinion, is a Wii U game. It's not a Switch game. Yes, it came out on day 1 of Switch, but it also came out on Wii U. So effectively, it was kind of like a port of a Zelda game, whereas this was a true Nintendo Switch game. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom basically takes everything that Breath of the Wild did and ramps it up to 11. Like, I think that this game has so much content in it that it's not near impossible to 100%, but I do think it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And I think with the amount of content in this game, for example, there's 3 whole worlds to explore in this game. You've got the sky to explore, you've got Hyrule to explore, and you've got the depths to explore. There's just so much to do in this game. Like, it's just incredibly insane how much content that Nintendo were able to put into a Zelda game on Nintendo Switch. So this is the sequel to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So before you play this, I will highly recommend playing Breath of the Wild first if you want to kind of get into the open air Zelda style series. I've given this game a bit of grief in the past and said that I don't love this game. I think I was wrong, because I do think that this game is a game that, while I say, like I say, it's not my favourite Zelda game ever, I think over time I've kind of started to appreciate that this game has been way more creative and experimental for a Legend of Zelda game than I gave it credit for originally. Purely because this game is about creativity. You can literally build things in this game that you can imagine. With the fuse mechanic and with the ultra hand mechanic, there's just so much to do in this game to make anything achievable and possible. So, for example, some puzzles can practically be cheesed in this game because of the creativity of the game with the ultra hand mechanics and stuff like that, and building vehicles and having all the different parts to fuse together. This game really takes everything that Breath of the Wild did amazing and just refines it to the point where it's perfect. Okay, some parts of this game are flawed, like the story is a bit flawed in this game. I think it's worse than Breath of the Wild story in my opinion, but as a game technically it's more impressive, bigger, it's better, there's more to do, there's a better system when it comes to weapons, breaking and stuff like that. I think Tears of the Kingdom really was an ambitious game when it first came out. Probably the most ambitious game that Nintendo have ever made. Yes, okay, it's not a near perfect game, but I do think when you have to talk about Legend of Zelda, I think now this is the bar to hit. Like, I think the next Zelda game is going to take everything that this game did well and refine it again. I think because everyone talks about this game now. People like this game, people hate this game. Like, it's such a divisive game and almost controversial at parts that I think that this is gonna be one of the most famous Nintendo games of all time just purely because of that. And I remember the hype of this game when it was first being like released, when it was in production. Like, I remember how hyped people were for this game. While I think it did disappoint a few people because it was basically Breath of the Wild again, I think that this game has done enough to warrant it being called a sequel. I would never say that this is just a DLC, because it's not. It's a sequel. I think the biggest issue with this game was that it just reused the map from Breath of the Wild, and that was why people kind of didn't like it, because it felt like you were retreading ground, if you know what I mean. But Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is just the biggest and best Zelda game. It basically took Breath of the Wild and turned Breath of the Wild into the game I think that Nintendo originally wanted to make when they were releasing Breath of the Wild, and that's exactly what it is. This is the second best Nintendo game on Nintendo Switch. So there you go. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Go play it, but also go play Breath of the Wild. And my final choice for the best games on Nintendo Switch, in my opinion, this game is Super Mario Odyssey. This game is just, it's incredible. It's the best 3D platforming game of all time, in my opinion. This is just, it's amazing. It really is amazing. This is Mario at its best. While this isn't my favorite Mario 3D game, I do think it is easily the best Mario game of all time. Super Mario Odyssey takes everything about 3D Mario and perfects it. The controls of Mario in this game, the different open areas you can explore, they're all really interesting and really fun to explore. The platforming in this is perfect. The way, like I say, Mario controls, the way you can jump around, and it just feels flawless. Mario has somewhat of a personality in this game, and so do the characters. They're all really, really interesting characters. The final like half hour of this game is just some of the best in Mario ever. I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't played it. So this game basically takes the star mechanics from, say, Super Mario 64 or Super Mario Galaxy, and basically ramps that up to 11. Why do I keep saying ramps up to 11? It's such a phrase that I like to use. It's because I like the film Spinal Tap. Super Mario Odyssey, though, basically takes all of the star collecting gameplay and turns it into a feature of the game where there is basically stars, which are known as moons in this game. They are everywhere, and I mean everywhere. Like, you can go and do the simplest task in this game and you'll probably be rewarded with a moon. It's just a really good collectathon. It's one of those games that I really liked the idea of trying to 100% this game, because there's just so much to do in it, and it's not that difficult. I feel like it's one of those games that, yes, it's challenging and there's a lot of platforming and tasks and quests that are supposed to be tricky, and it's never impossible, this game. It never feels impossible, and I think that's the best part of this game, is that it just feels like an adventure that is just achievable, and it's just fun from start to finish. And yeah, I really recommend this game, Super Mario Odyssey. Visually, it's really impressive. It's got some of the best set pieces in a Mario game there is, in fact, even on the Nintendo Switch. Like the New Donk City is one of the best Mario levels of all time. Really, really great level. It has one of the coolest boss fights as well, and one of the best opening levels for that open area. I really, really like this game, and I will honestly say that this is the best Nintendo Switch game. There we go. That's my answer. That's the best game on Nintendo Switch. Now, if you would like to see more content like this and see me make a video where I do include ports and remasters into the list, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that video, because I'm thinking about making it. But these are the best exclusive Nintendo Switch games on Nintendo Switch. So, thank you for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please do remember to like, comment and subscribe on the video. I really am trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. I've noticed a drop in views on this channel recently. I think it is because Nintendo Switch is on its way out and Switch 2 is coming in now. So let's try and get this video into the algorithm. So I shall see you guys soon. If you did like this video, check out this video here. This is the last video I made where I talked about the best multiplayer games on Nintendo Switch. So I shall see you around for the next video. Thank you for watching, guys, and take care. Have a good day. Bye!